by the AIMIM. He was arrested and then couple of hours later released on bail by the Nampally court because his remand was rejected on the ground that the police had violated Section 41A of the CRPC. In layman terms, it means that the police failed to give notice to Raja Singh before arresting him and then had directly taken him to the police station without even allowing him to offer his side of explanation. Raja Singh in his court had appealed saying that in that 10-minute long video where he could be seen making controversial statements against the Prophet, he's saying he's not taking any name, so it would be wrong to link him directly to the Prophet. However, that was a weak argument that was highlighted by the court. The main issue was the police not filing CRPC, Section 41A of CRPC properly. So right now, we can confirm that with these new cases, we have to ascertain how many cases there are in total, but with these new cases, the police seem to have followed the right process for Section 41A of CRPC, and that's the reason why he has been detained.
Have there been any arrests, any detentions against the protesters, especially against those who were sloganeering Sar Tan Se Juda?
More than 150 protesters, Arunima, were detained yesterday, but majority of them were allowed to go, and that's because of one of the appeals came in from Asaduddin Owaisi, who had also argued that the police illegally barged into the residence of some of these protesters and took them into police custody forcefully. But so far, with the slogans such as Sar Tan Se Juda, no such arrests have been made in that context.
Right. Swastika, take a moment. I'm just coming back to you in 15 seconds. Just want to recap for our viewers what has happened so far. These pictures on your screen are from Hyderabad, from outside MLA Raja Singh's residence. He was detained by the police. There you see in that video short clip, he's being pushed inside that bus. Earlier, when the policemen landed at his residence, there was speculation whether they were there to give him protection since the protesters were agitated. But now it seems he could have been detained. Swastika Das, my colleague on the ground there, has been pointing out that there has been some concern. It's Friday tomorrow, day for Friday namaz, where Muslims congregate for prayers. And in the past, we have seen in other parts of the country how the Friday namaz has been used to further fester trouble, leading to violence, leading to protests. So that has been one concern. Is that the reason why Raja Singh has been detained, or is this just the precursor to his arrest? That is something that the Muslim protesters have been demanding, that Raja Singh be arrested. Swastika, if you're still there on the line with us, what is it that the protesters have been demanding so far? What action do they want against Raja Singh? Okay, I think Swastika is trying to get more information, speaking to her sources in the police brass, trying to ascertain whether Raja Singh has been taken into preventive detention or there is more to this. I'm taking a break even as we bring these pictures to you. Stay with us. Hyderabad continues to be our top focus.
Night flying drills. The Chinese warplanes were seen taking off, its orange trailing flame blazing through the night sky. It was followed by multiple warplanes of the Eastern Theatre Command. Since August, the PLA's Eastern Theatre Command has rolled out a series of joint military operations around the Taiwan island. The drills are a response to 3 recent high-profile visits from the US to the Taiwan. From the US to the island nation, including House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. The PLA has launched ballistic missiles into the water around Taiwan. Several Chinese warships have been seen in the Taiwan Strait, and PLA warplanes have breached the median line.
The Taiwan Army is in fact keeping a close watch along its shores from the northernmost tip, that's the Kinmen Island. The island is barely 180 kilometers away from mainland China. In fact, Chinese merchant vessels that are anchored off the island, these vessels are being manned by the Chinese Navy personnel. In fact, Chinese drones flew into the Kinmen area very recently. The Taiwan Army has also fired flares to drive these drones away. My colleague Siddhant Mishra is the only Indian reporter in Taiwan right now. He spoke to the island's Foreign Minister, Joseph Wu.
What is the motive of China behind doing all this?
And the way I say this is that China has a global ambition. And this is the most important motivation for China to continue to expand. Look at the military exercises around Taiwan. It's a large scale, very large scale. Other than the sea and air exercises around Taiwan, they also fired missiles over Taiwan. And they also conducted the cyber attacks.
Several parts of Rajasthan are badly underwater because of heavy rains, and Udaipur happens to be one of the worst hit places.
This house could not withstand the fast-flowing floodwaters. It was literally floating in the floodwaters like a boat. Due to incessant rains, many rivers in Rajasthan are in spate. The river water has flown into towns and left them completely inundated. Several people have been trapped in their homes as a result of the floods. With roads turning into rivers, relief and rescue teams went out in boats to evacuate people.
A terrorist captured from Jammu and Kashmir's Rajouri has revealed that he was part of a group that was tasked with carrying out a suicide mission in India. Tabarak Hussain has claimed that he and 4 to 5 other terrorists were sent by a Colonel Yusuf of the Pakistan Army. He was given 30,000 rupees to target Indian Army posts and he had in fact even recce'd some of them.
कितने पेज है कितने सीखा
चौधरी यूनुस में
चौधरी यूनुस कौन है
आर्मी में
आर्मी के पाकिस्तान की उन्हें की क्या के पेज है तुम कि जाके पोस्ट देते की करो
हमला
करो बोले किदे होते हमला करना किदे होते हमला करना चाहिए पोस्ट होते
Well, China is keeping up the pressure on Taiwan. Right now, it's conducting night drills very close to the island.
The Eastern Theatre Command of the Chinese People's Liberation Army deployed several warplanes to
Hyderabad continues to be our top focus. The latest that we have for you is that Andhra Pradesh police has detained Raja Singh, the MLA whose comments about the Prophet Muhammad has triggered off spate of protests in Hyderabad. These are pictures that we got just a couple of minutes back from outside his residence. Policemen first landed at his residence and then within 5 to 10 minutes he was pushed into that bus. You will see very soon pictures on your screen of Raja Singh being pushed inside there you see him pushed into the bus and then the police confirming that he has been detained. Now we are still waiting for official word from the police whether this is a precursor to his formal arrest since there has been case registered against him, or this is preventive detention. There is Friday prayers tomorrow. There is high tension in Hyderabad ahead of Friday prayers to just calm down the situation. Is this preventive detention? On that we are still waiting for clarity from the Hyderabad police. The lawyer meanwhile of Raja Singh confirmed just minutes before he was taken into custody that he has heard that his client will be taken into custody by the police. He wasn't sure as to under which case this was done. Swastika Das is joining me live. Swastika, any update?
Well, Raja Singh's exact location at the moment is something that the Hyderabad police is not revealing, but there are 2 places that he can be taken to, one for a medical examination or a second directly to the court. That is something that we are yet to ascertain, but one thing is confirmed that he was detained by the task force just a few minutes ago on the basis of fresh FIRs that have been filed against him, one of them from Mangalhat police station. More details on that front is awaited, but Raja Singh being detained for the second time over the controversial comments that he made against the Prophet as well as against the Muslim community, and this comes in the backdrop of several complaints that have been lodged, including from MIM's chief Asaduddin Owaisi, who has accused Raja Singh of fanning communal politics in the state and hurting and belittling the Muslims by making hurtful religious sentiments against the Prophet.
Swastika, usually medical examination and production before a magistrate are steps that are taken by police after arrest. So far, they have been telling you that we have detained Raja Singh. But if they are talking about these two, medical examination and production before a magistrate, are they dropping hints that he could possibly be arrested?
Possibly, yes. That's a big hint that we are learning, that he could be possibly arrested. On what grounds? On the fresh FIRs that have been filed against him. How many of them? These are something, the details of which are likely to be given by the Hyderabad police very soon. We are learning that Hyderabad Police Commissioner C.V. Anand is also likely to make a public press conference on the same issue. But for now, we are learning that Raja Singh has been taken to an unknown location. This is what we are learning, and possibly 2 areas which could lead up to his arrest.
Okay, what really happened at his residence, Swastika? Was he present there? How much? Because we thought it was all over in less than 10 minutes.
That's right. The task force immediately came in without any prior information. That is what Raja Singh's lawyer Karuna Sagar has told. And within 10 minutes, he was arrested, detained, I beg your pardon, from his residence, taken away, and without any further details given by the Hyderabad police, considering, and the main reason for this is because of the protests that have been taking place. And remember, this also comes in the backdrop of Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao ordering a free clampdown on the protesters, in the sense that the police was given instructions that there should not be any law and order situation, A, ahead of the Friday prayers, and B, ahead of the Ganesh Chaturthi festival. And right now, Raja Singh is likely to be produced before the court, but whether or not he's being first location that he's going to be taken to, and most likely is for medical examination. That is what we are learning, and this is in the run up to his arrest. His arrest is most likely, that is what we can confirm via our sources, but on what ground and how many FIRs have been filed against him, those are the details we are still waiting on.
Swastika Das, thank you so much. So that's the big news that I'm leaving you with. There are enough hints being dropped by Hyderabad police there that Raja Singh, the MLA whose latest remarks have triggered so many protests in Hyderabad, he could be arrested. Police are telling my colleague Swastika Das there that he's been detained for now. Maybe formal arrest will be shown in a bit, but they're also saying that they would possibly take him for medical examination. That is the first step under CRPC. Once arrest is carried out, you have to carry out medical and then produce the person in your custody before a magistrate. So that's the hint that the Hyderabad police is dropping. We are waiting to hear from them officially. That's all that I have. For more updates, Ridhima will join you after this very quick break.
The cyber attacks.
Several parts of Rajasthan are badly underwater because of heavy rains, and Udaipur happens to be one of the worst hit places.
This house could not withstand the fast-flowing flood waters. It was literally floating in the flood waters like a boat. Due to incessant rains, many rivers in Rajasthan are in spate. The river water has flown into towns and left them completely inundated. Several people have been trapped in their homes as a result of the floods. With roads turning into rivers, relief and rescue teams went out in boats to evacuate people.
A terrorist captured from Jammu and Kashmir's Rajouri has revealed that he was part of a group that was tasked with carrying out a suicide mission in India. Tabarak Hussain has claimed that he and 4 to 5 other terrorists were sent by a Colonel Yusuf of the Pakistan Army. He was given 30,000 rupees to target Indian Army posts, and he had in fact even recce'd some of them.
कितने पेजे कितने सी कौन
चौधरी यूनुस में
चौधरी यूनुस कौन है
आर्मी में
आर्मी से पाकिस्तान की उन्हें की क्या के भेजे तुम कि जाके पोस्ट दो तो की करो हमला करो बोले किदे होते हमला करना किदे होते हमला करना चाहिए पोस्ट होते
Well, China is keeping up the pressure on Taiwan. Right now, it's conducting night drills very close to the island.
The Eastern Theatre Command of the Chinese People's Liberation Army deployed several warplanes to carry out night flying drills. The Chinese warplanes were seen taking off, its orange trailing flame blazing through the night sky.
Good evening, it's 4 o'clock. You continue to be with us here at CNN News 18. I'm Ridhima Bhatnagar. We're beginning this broadcast with some big updates coming in. So 48 hours after he got bail for his derogatory comments against Prophet Muhammad, suspended BJP MLA Raja Singh has been rearrested by the Hyderabad police and now taken to the Namapalli court. A lot of hectic developments taking place. Remember, there was a lot of pressure mounting as to how he even got bail in the first place. Now we are understanding suspended BJP MLA who had made those derogatory comments against Prophet Muhammad, which had led to what we've seen play out in the last 72 hours. He has again been picked up and rearrested by the Hyderabad police, and now we're understanding he's been taken to Namapalli court. Remember, this afternoon he had also broken his silence. We had seen his first reaction coming in, where he in fact had put the blame on the likes of Aswaddin Owaisi and others as far as communal violence and unrest in the city was concerned. Remember, in the last 72 hours, Hyderabad has been on the edge. First, the comments that came from Raja Singh himself against Prophet Muhammad, which had led to his arrest, subsequent bail, and also him being suspended from the BJP. A show cause notice was also given by the party. But this also then resulted into a political war of words between the BJP and the MIM as well. We'll talk all about that in just a bit, but first let's understand what's happening on the ground. Swastika Das joining us on the broadcast. Swastika, so he's been rearrested, is that correct?
Well, we can't really say a rearrested at the moment. That's what I've learned from police sources. We can say he has been taken into custody for now, but details on that front is awaited. And I say this because in the latest development, there are a couple of cases that have been filed against Raja Singh, and one of them, remember, has been filed against him in the Mangalhat police station. This was one of the police stations where even cases were filed earlier in the first edition of this entire episode. But Raja Singh, remember, today issued a bite in the public domain, alleging that a conspiracy, I quote, has been hatched against him, and it is being created by the Telangana police by issuing 241A CRPC from different police stations. One of them is from Mangalhat on the cases he's saying which were booked back in April. He has given the two timeline in his own allegation. He's saying that there were cases which were filed back in April, against which the police is taking action now by issuing 41A CRPC, which merely means notices were given to him, dated 25th of August. So he says that he received notices against two old cases that were registered back in April, and one of them in the month of February today. And he's saying that all of this is a conspiracy that has been hatched by the Telangana police to arrest him. But in a parallel development, owing to the protests that have been happening in Hyderabad, there are various community leaders who have officially filed police complaints against him. One of them has been filed at Rajendra Nagar police station, and there's one more at Mangalhat police station. The police officials in an earlier conversation to me had told me that they are in the process of clubbing together all of these fresh FIRs which have been filed after his bail, and whether or not he has been arrested for the recent cases or the cases for which he was served notices on today, that is yet to be ascertained. But the development is that we are tracking Raja Singh, and we are learning that he has now he's on his way for medical examination. There are two processes that need to be followed whether you're detained or arrested. Is that first process is medical examination, and we are learning that Raja Singh is being taken there. However, after that, the next course of development and the legal action is something that is awaited. I also quickly had a word with Raja Singh's lawyer, who told me that he has been taken into custody. However, he does not have further details on the new cases that have been filed against him. So if Raja Singh's legal team does not have the full details that have been furnished, then there is also another matter that could crop up, is another position that the team has taken in this context, is that the police is trying to arrest him illegally. But police sources have so far, the details are extremely skeletal at the moment, considering the volatile nature of how this entire issue has panned out. But police sources have told us one thing, that their legal team is ready, which means that he could possibly be arrested very soon. And the second point is that his remand is something that the police is seeking once again. Remember, in the first chapter of this entire story,
को लेकर भी जहां एक और सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने टिप्पणी की है, वहां पर यह भी बताया है कि किस तरह से फिरोजपुर के एसएसपी पूरी तरह से विफल हुए प्रधानमंत्री जी की यात्रा में सुरक्षा उपलब्ध करवाने के लिए और कानून व्यवस्था बनाए रखने में पूरी तरह से विफल हुए, जबकि उनके पास 2 घंटे का पर्याप्त समय था ऑल्टरनेटिव रूट का, सड़क मार्ग का, लेकिन वो पूरी तरह से विफल। पंजाब की सरकार, पंजाब का पुलिस तंत्र, प्रधानमंत्री जी की सुरक्षा में खिलवाड़ जिस तरह से हुआ, जो प्रधानमंत्री जी की सुरक्षा में चूक हुई, उस पर आज बहुत बड़ी जानकारी आप सबके सामने आई भी है। लेकिन मित्रों, बात यह है कि वो किस समय की घटना है। आपको अगर याद होगा, अगर आप इस फोटोग्राफ को देखें, ये 5 जनवरी 2022 की बात है। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी पंजाब के दौरे पर थे और इस कार्यक्रम में पहले से जानकारी दी गई थी, ड्रिल्स पूरे किए गए। एसपी जी ने स्थानीय सरकार को, पुलिस प्रशासन को, सबको बताया कि खराब मौसम के चलते सड़क रूट लिया जा सकता है और सड़क रूट की ड्रिल भी हुई। और उसके होने के बाद जब यह कहा गया कि यहां क्या क्या चाहिए, उस पर भी पूरी तरह से विफल तत्कालीन कांग्रेस की सरकार, पंजाब की सरकार रही। जब प्रधानमंत्री जी पंजाब पहुंचे, किसी भी राज्य में माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी जाएं, तो वहां के मुख्यमंत्री, वहां के मुख्य सचिव, वहां के डीजीपी पुलिस यानी कि डायरेक्टर जनरल पुलिस, वो वहां पर रहते हैं। लेकिन तीनों के तीनों वहां से गायब थे, अनुपस्थित थे। कारण क्या था? मुख्यमंत्री, मुख्य सचिव, डीजीपी का ना होना। ये किसका षड्यंत्र था? कौन इनके पीछे थे? क्योंकि केवल यहीं तक नहीं रुके। जब प्रधानमंत्री जी का काफिला इंतजार करने के बाद डीजीपी पंजाब के पूरे कहने के बाद कि रूट सुरक्षित भी है, सैनिटाइज्ड भी है, ये आने के बाद, जानकारी आने के बाद एसपी जी ने चलने के लिए कहा, तब भी मुख्यमंत्री, मुख्य सचिव और डीजीपी गायब थे। उनकी गाड़ियां थी लेकिन वो नहीं थे। प्रधानमंत्री जी को अकेला पंजाब में छोड़ दिया। और जिस पुल पे जाकर वो उनका काफिला रुका, उससे मात्र 100 मीटर की दूरी पर आंदोलनकारी, आप कल्पना कीजिए भारत के प्रधानमंत्री पुल पर हो, 10 किलोमीटर की दूरी पर पाकिस्तान का बॉर्डर हो, जहां पे तोप की आप रेंज में हो, स्नाइपर्स की रेंज में हो सकते हो, वहां से गोली बारूद चलते, कुछ भी हो सकता था। और पंजाब पुलिस मूक दर्शक बनकर 20 मिनट तक खड़ी रही। पंजाब के मुख्यमंत्री फोन पर भी उपलब्ध नहीं थे, ना व्यक्तिगत तौर पर थे। एसएसपी ने हाथ खड़े कर दिए थे। आखिरकार ये रूट किसने बताया था आंदोलनकारियों को? रूट पर कैसे आए? मात्र 100 मीटर की दूरी पर आंदोलनकारियों ने कैसे घेरा बना लिया? कुछ भी हो सकता था। लेकिन पंजाब के उस समय के मुख्यमंत्री, कांग्रेस के नेता ये कहते 20 मिनट ही तो थे। अरे 2 मिनट भी बहुत होते हैं कुछ भी होने के लिए। इस देश ने बहुत बड़े बड़े नेताओं को, चाहे प्रधानमंत्री हो, पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री हो, पूर्व मुख्यमंत्री हो या बड़े नेता हो, बहुत को खोया है। सुरक्षा व्यवस्था के साथ खिलवाड़ के कारण खोया है। ऐसी स्थिति क्यों पैदा की गई? महत्वपूर्ण लोग घटनास्थल से गायब क्यों थे? यह सवाल बार बार उठता है। और यही नहीं, प्रदर्शनकारियों को प्रधानमंत्री के रूट के बारे में जानकारी किसने दी? और अगर ये सुरक्षित और सैनिटाइज रूट था तो आंदोलनकारी आए कैसे? एसएसपी किससे बार बार फोन पर बात कर रहे थे? किसके निर्देश ले रहे थे? मुख्यमंत्री ने बहाना मार दिया कि उनको कोविड है, लेकिन चंद घंटों के बाद प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस भी करते हैं, पब्लिक से भी मिलते हैं और बगैर मास्क के मिलते हैं। कांग्रेस के उस समय के मुख्यमंत्री अपने दिल्ली के बड़े नेताओं आकाओं से जिस परिवार का इस पार्टी पर राज है, उस पार्टी के नेताओं को बार बार जानकारी देते हैं कि सुरक्षा में ये हुआ ये हुआ। तो ये जो उन्होंने कहा कि ये सुनियोजित, वो उन्होंने तो कहा स्वाभाविक था। क्या कहा उन्होंने? मुख्यमंत्री चन्नी ने उस समय कहा ये कुदरती थी, सुरक्षा भंग होना कहते कुदरती था, स्वाभाविक था। ये स्वाभाविक नहीं, सुनियोजित था। ये षड्यंत्र किसका था? क्या चाहते थे इस घटना से वो? पंजाब में जहां सिटिंग मुख्यमंत्री की हत्या हो चुकी हो, पहले इस देश में कई प्रधानमंत्री, पूर्व प्रधानमंत्रियों की हत्या हो चुकी, उस समय खिलवाड़ी किसके कहने पर हुआ? और इससे शर्मनाक बात क्या होगी कि बार बार चन्नी जी ने ऐसे बयान दिए। मैं तो यही कहूंगा कांग्रेस के नेताओं से कि आप चुनावों में ना घेर पाओ, संसद में ना घेर पाओ, सवालों में ना घेर पाओ, तो प्रधानमंत्री की सुरक्षा के साथ खिलवाड़ करो। सवाल यह उठता है कि ये नौकरशाह, ये पुलिस अधिकारी किसके इशारे पर ये खेल खेल रहे थे और सुरक्षा के साथ खिलवाड़ कर रहे थे, और प्रधानमंत्री जी की सुरक्षा के साथ हिला हवाली कर रहे थे, लीपा पोती कर रहे थे। किसके कहने पर कर रहे थे? सीएम चन्नी बार बार झूठ बोल रहे थे। ये किसकी ओर इशारा करता है? किस परिवार और किस पार्टी के नेता को वो रिपोर्टिंग बार बार कर रहे थे? सीएम की भाषा में इतना घमंड, इतना झलझलापन, यह अपने आप में दिखाता है कि अपने आप नहीं, अपने आकाओं के इशारे पर काम कर रहे थे। यह कहना 20 मिनट रुके, कुछ हुआ तो नहीं, कितनी गैर जिम्मेदाराना स्टेटमेंट है। इससे तो यही पता चलता है कांग्रेस का हाथ देश विरोधियों के साथ। यही नहीं रुके, अभी प्रधानमंत्री जी का तेलंगाना का दौरा था, उस समय भी प्रधानमंत्री जी के हेलीकॉप्टर आने से ठीक पहले उसी समय पर इतने बड़े बड़े काले गुब्बारे छोड़ दिए। यह भी एक बहुत बड़ी सुरक्षा के साथ खिलवाड़ का मामला था। लेकिन मित्रों, जैसा शास्त्रों में लिखा है हमारे, जो धर्म की रक्षा करता है, धर्म उसकी रक्षा करता है। लेकिन यहां पर सवाल तो यह खड़ा होता है कि तत्कालीन कांग्रेस सरकार ने ऐसा कैसे होने दिया, किसके इशारे पर होने दिया, और ये रूट कैसे पता चला, सुरक्षा में चूक क्यों हुई? इसका जवाब कांग्रेस को देना ही होगा। कौन इनके वो आका दिल्ली में है, कौन वो नेता है जो उस समय के मुख्यमंत्री को निर्देश दे रहे थे? ये पूरी स्क्रिप्ट दिल्ली में किस जगह पर कांग्रेस के लिखी गई और उसको लागू पंजाब के मुख्यमंत्री ने डीजीपी के माध्यम से एसएसपी पर किया। कोर्ट ने इस पर अपनी टिप्पणी बड़ी गंभीर भी की है। भविष्य में प्रधानमंत्री की सुरक्षा के साथ खिलवाड़ ना हो, उसके भी इसमें कहा है, उस पर क्या क्या करना चाहिए, उपचारी उपाय क्या हो, सेफगार्ड्स क्या लिए जाएं, उस सब की बात भी कही है। लेकिन आज सवाल यह खड़ा होता है कि कांग्रेस ने देश के 130 करोड़ की जनता के पूर्ण बहुमत से चुने हुए दुनिया के सबसे लोकप्रिय नेता की सुरक्षा में खिलवाड़ क्यों होने दिया? ये सुनियोजित क्यों था और ये षड्यंत्र किसने रचा? ये कई सवाल अब आप सबके सामने आते हैं।
इस विषय से कोई जुड़ा हुआ कोई सवाल आपके पास हो तो एक मिनट आप पूछिए।
देखिए, प्रधानमंत्री की सुरक्षा में गंभीर चूक राष्ट्र के लिए गंभीर परिणामों के साथ साथ एक भयावह स्थिति भी उत्पन्न कर सकती थी। क्या कांग्रेस ये चाहती थी? तो किसके इशारे पर चाहती थी? कांग्रेस में कोई और नहीं, एक परिवार की ही पार्टी है, उसके इशारे पर ही चलती है। चन्नी जी बताएं, क्या यह इशारा वहीं से आ रहा था जहां पर रिपोर्टिंग सुरक्षा चूक की उस दिन की जा रही थी? मीडिया के मित्र अपने पूरा रिकॉर्ड पुराना खंगालें। प्रधानमंत्री जी कैसे पुल पर खड़े थे, चन्नी जी कैसे गायब थे, चन्नी जी किसको रिपोर्ट कर रहे थे? उन्होंने स्वयं कहा कि मैं कांग्रेस के इस परिवार के इस नेता को रिपोर्ट कर रहा था। तो ये पूरी स्क्रिप्ट प्रधानमंत्री की सुरक्षा की चूक की किसने लिखी, किसने लागू की? अब यह सवाल देश के सामने खड़ा होता है।
नीरज पांडे,
यह षड्यंत्र किसने रचा? ये सवाल देश के सामने है। मैं चाहता हूं कांग्रेस के लोग इसका उत्तर दें। इससे क्या पाना चाहते थे? 10 किलोमीटर की दूरी पर पंजाब का बॉर्डर, हजारों आंदोलनकारी सड़क पर 100 मीटर की दूरी पर, पंजाब पुलिस सीन से गायब हो, मुख्यमंत्री फोन पर ना हो, डीजीपी ने जो सैनिटाइज और सुरक्षित रूट की बात कही, वहां पर उड़दम मच गया हो। प्रधानमंत्री की सुरक्षा में एक चूक हुई हो, बहुत बड़ी चूक। उस और इशारा करता है कि क्या राजनीतिक लाभ के लिए देश विरोधियों के हाथ में प्रधानमंत्री की सुरक्षा को लेकर इस स्तर तक गिरने का काम हुआ है। इतना नीचे गिर गए राजनीति में कि 130 करोड़ की जनता के द्वारा चुने हुए प्रधानमंत्री की सुरक्षा में आप चूक कर देते हो।
रविंदर जी,
देखिए, एसपीजी एक्ट के अनुसार अगर आप देखेंगे, स्पेशल प्रोटेक्शन ग्रुप एक्ट के अनुसार, तो उसके अनुसार भी राज्य के जो अधिकारी, जो अथॉरिटीज ने, उसने इसका उल्लंघन किया है। ये सुरक्षा की जिम्मेदारी उनकी होती है। ब्लू बुक में बहुत क्लियर डेफिनेशन इसकी है, और उसकी पूरी धज्जियां उड़ाने का काम किसी ने किया है तो तत्कालीन कांग्रेस की सरकार ने, उनके निर्देश पर वहां के पुलिस के अधिकारियों ने किया है। आखिरकार ये स्पेशल प्रोटेक्शन ग्रुप एक्ट जो है, ये देश की प्रधानमंत्री की सुरक्षा के लिए, वीवीआईपी की सुरक्षा के लिए है, और इसके अनुसार ही राज्यों को अपनी सुरक्षा देनी होती है। पंजाब में कोताही क्यों बरती गई? किसके इशारे पर यह हुआ? षड्यंत्र किसने रचा? लागू करने वाले तो सामने आ गए। रचा किसने? रचेता कौन है? इस षड्यंत्र के पीछे वो सवाल खड़ा होता है। दिल्ली से मैं पूछ रहा हूं, दिल्ली से कौन ऐसा कांग्रेस का नेता था जो बार बार इशारा कर रहा था? देखिए, बहुत सेट फॉर्मेट है एसपीजी एक्ट के अनुसार, और बाकी प्रोटोकॉल भी जो ब्लू बुक के अनुसार है। ये राज्य की सरकार को पर्याप्त सिक्योरिटी अरेंजमेंट करने होते हैं, और अगर हवाई यात्रा ना हो तो उसका एक रूट तय किया जाता है, सड़क रूट, उसका एक ऑल्टरनेटिव रूट तय किया जाता है। ऐसी स्थिति में कहां से निकला जाए, ये सब गिने चुने अधिकारियों तक पूरी प्लानिंग और पर्याप्त सिक्योरिटी फोर्स वहां पे लगाई जाती है। क्या पंजाब में पुलिस की कमी थी या प्रयासों की कमी थी? पंजाब पुलिस में कमी नहीं थी जी, सिक्योरिटी फोर्स थी, लेकिन लगाई नहीं गई थी। किसके इशारे पर नहीं लगाई गई थी? रूट किसके कहने पर लीक कर दिया गया? और कैसे 100 मीटर की दूरी पर आंदोलनकारी आकर घेर लेते हैं। पंजाब पुलिस के लोग चाय की चुस्की भरते हैं, आपके पास वीडियो से दिखाइए जी। एसपीजी को घेरा बनाकर प्रधानमंत्री की सुरक्षा करनी पड़ती है, जब मात्र 10 किलोमीटर की दूरी पर पंजाब का बॉर्डर है। वहां पर तोपें तैनात होंगी, कुछ और होगा। वो खिलवाड़ की स्थिति किसने खड़ी की देश के सामने, इसका जवाब कांग्रेस को देना ही होगा। आप ये कह कहकर बार बार अपना पिंड नहीं छुड़ा सकते। कांग्रेस की सरकार थी, मुख्यमंत्री सीन से गायब था, मुख्य सचिव सीन से गायब था, डीजीपी सीन से गायब था। क्यों नहीं थे तीनों? किसके इशारे पर नहीं थे? क्या उनको पता था कि उस दिन कुछ होने वाला है? तो उस काफिले में मत रहो जिसका घेरा आंदोलनकारी भी कर सकते हैं, और बॉर्डर जो 10 किलोमीटर दूर पाकिस्तान का है, वहां से भी कुछ हो सकता है। यह डर या ये जानकारी पहले से ही मुख्यमंत्री को थी, और इसीलिए सुरक्षा में चूक भी हुई, सुरक्षा के प्रबंध भी कम किए गए, और वो लगातार सीन से गायब रहे। ना प्रधानमंत्री को रिसीव करने आए, न उनके काफिले का हिस्सा बने, जबकि 4 घंटे बाद वो मीडिया से भी बात कर रहे थे, लोगों से भी मिल रहे थे। मुझे लगता है इसमें बहुत गहराई में जाने की आवश्यकता है। मीडिया के मित्रों को भी जरा पिछले अपनी रिकॉर्डिंग निकाल लें। वो सारे बयान सीएम चन्नी के कि 20 मिनट ही तो खड़े रहे कहते सड़क पे प्रधानमंत्री। 20 मिनट भारत के 130 करोड़ की जनता के चुने हुए प्रधानमंत्री सड़क पर खड़े रहे, जो 10 किलोमीटर दूर पाकिस्तान का बॉर्डर है, और सीएम कहें कांग्रेस के कि सिर्फ 20 मिनट ही तो खड़े रहे। ये कितनी बड़ी चूक थी। और वो रिपोर्ट कहां कर रहे थे? आपने नाम ले लिया है कांग्रेस के बड़े नेता का। मैंने पहले भी कहा, एक परिवार जो कांग्रेस पार्टी को चलाता है उसको इस पर जवाब देना ही होगा। ये षड्यंत्र किसने रचा? ये स्वाभाविक नहीं, सुनियोजित था। देखिए, अच्छी बात यह है कि कम से कम इसमें आरोप प्रत्यारोप वाली स्थिति नहीं है। एक रिटायर्ड सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जज की अध्यक्षता की कमेटी ने बड़े वरिष्ठ अधिकारियों के साथ जांच करके अपनी रिपोर्ट पेश की। उसके बाद मुख्य न्यायाधीश जी ने अपनी उसके ऊपर रिपोर्ट पर जजमेंट दी है, टिप्पणी की। अब इसको बड़े विस्तार में आपको पढ़ना भी चाहिए, और देश के सामने कई सवाल खड़े होते हैं कि आखिरकार प्रधानमंत्री जी की सुरक्षा में चूक क्यों हुई, और रेमेडियल मेजर्स और सेफगार्ड की बात जो प्रधानमंत्री की सुरक्षा के लिए मुख्य न्यायाधीश जी ने की, और एक ओवरसाइट कमेटी की बात भी जो कही, ये अपने आप में दिखाता है कि वो भी कितने गंभीर है प्रधानमंत्री जी की सुरक्षा को लेकर। लेकिन कांग्रेस पार्टी और उनके मुख्यमंत्री गंभीर नहीं थे। भविष्य में ऐसी चूक ना हो, इस स्थिति के लिए क्या क्या कदम उठाने चाहिए वो भी करने चाहिए। लेकिन मैं चाहूंगा ये जो पहले चूक हुई, इसकी जड़ तक भी जरूर जाना चाहिए कि इसके पीछे कौन लोग थे। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
बहुत धन्यवाद आप सब लोगों को।
There has been a big development as far as the Sonali Phogat death case is concerned. Now we are understanding that the Goa police has added IPC section 302, which is punishment for murder, and this is on her family's insistence. The family had also demanded a CBI probe. That's the big update that's coming in. So we are understanding the Goa police has now added IPC section 302 in the Sonali Phogat death case, which was initially being seen as a case of cardiac arrest, but after the family's insistence, we are now understanding this IPC section That is, punishment for murder has also been added. Remember, the family had suspected that she couldn't have died because of a cardiac arrest. We'd seen multiple responses from family members saying she was in perfect health. It's difficult for us to believe that this was a cardiac arrest, so they had demanded a CBI probe as well. Herman Gomes now bringing us these details. So Herman, essentially what was initially looking like a case of cardiac arrest, does the family have enough evidence to believe that there is a lot more than what meets the eye?
Well, Ridhima, as far as, what is the evidence that the family wants to place on record, nothing much is known. But what they said, they met at the higher-ups. They had even tried to meet senior leaders, including the Goa Chief Minister, Dr. Pramod Sawant, who assured them that this is being looked at the highest level, which is at the DGP level. And this is a breaking input now coming up from the Anjuna police station in North Goa, which was initially informed of this case, which previously seemed to be a prima facie of a case of cardiac arrest. But now Goa police has confirmed that section 302 relating to the charge of murder has been slapped in this case, against whom, well, the family believe and they allege that two of her personal assistants who were accompanying her, we do know that till 5 a.m. she was out, probably having certain late meetings. When she came back, she did not feel well. And that is when what doctors believe was a case of prima facie to be a case of cardiac arrest. But now this is a breaking input coming in and has been confirmed at the highest level that the charge of murder has been slapped. What happens next? Well, two of those staff members who accompanied her are going to be expected to be questioned shortly, probably even as early as even today is what we are given to understand. Now, what the family members have been stating is that, while the post-mortem has been conducted already in Goa, they could also go in for a second opinion, probably not in Goa, probably out of the state. But this is something that the family had demanded initially first, that it has to be a thorough inquiry because they believed it was a case of murder. And secondly, there has to be probably a CBI inquiry that needs to be looked. But this, after having a second opinion, after going through all of the records again, the Goa police has added the charge of the charge of murder relating to section 302 of the IPC.
Herman, I quickly also want to understand, because the post-mortem has already been done, what was the conclusion as far as the post-mortem was concerned for the cause of death?
Well, because it was a high-profile case, the details were extremely limited, and it was only shared with, in fact, the family members. And at that point, what the Goa police had suggested and had told the local media that it was a case of cardiac arrest. But the family members did not believe. They said that no, there could be foul play, which is why that Goa Chief Minister Dr. Pramod Sawant had said and had instructed that this inquiry will be conducted at the highest level, led by the DGP of Goa himself. And after that, and after a complaint was subsequently filed by the family members of Sonali Phogat, now you have this charge of murder being slapped, added to the FIR. As I was saying, the next step forward would be that two of the staff members who accompanied her until the VRs would now be questioned by the Goa police. Will they be detained? Will they be arrested? That is something that is part of the investigation going forward.
Okay, Herman Gomes, thanks a lot for getting us all those details. This is a developing story. We'll keep tracking all these developments. For now, we're slipping into a very short break.
Many people who called the Shivling at Gyamrapi fountain a stone, what is the big deal? And there were very many derogatory remarks made. But how many Hindus came out and said, Sartan se juda?
You're seriously accepting that? That you can touch the lives and better the lives of your people in the state only through a color television, otherwise you can't better their lives?
आपकी पार्टी के कॉर्पोरेटर है जफर खान, जो लोगों को भड़का रहा है ऐसे नारे लगाने के लिए कि सर तन से जुदा। 24 घंटे हो गए, आपने क्या कुछ शो कॉज नोटिस भेजा उसको? आपने उसको सस्पेंड किया?
The Aam Aadmi Party has not really answered specific question on policy failure. The entire narrative is about everything but the policy.
It shows from the northernmost tip, that's the Kinmen Island. The island is barely 180 kilometers away from mainland China. In fact, Chinese merchant vessels that are anchored off the island. These vessels are being manned by the Chinese Navy personnel. In fact, Chinese drones flew into the Kinmen area very recently. The Taiwan army has also fired flares to drive these drones away. My colleague Siddhant Mishra is the only Indian reporter in Taiwan right now. He spoke to the island's foreign minister, Joseph Wu.
What is the motive of China behind doing all this?
And the way I say this is that China has a global ambition. And this is the most important motivation for China to continue to expand. Look at the military exercises around Taiwan. It's a large scale, very large scale. Other than the sea and air exercises around Taiwan, they also fired missiles over Taiwan. And they also conducted the cyber attacks.
Several parts of Rajasthan are badly underwater because of heavy rains, and Udaipur happens to be one of the worst hit places.
This house could not withstand the fast-flowing floodwaters. It was literally floating in the floodwaters like a boat. Due to incessant rains, many rivers in Rajasthan are in spate. The river water has flown into towns and left them completely inundated. Several people have been trapped in their homes as a result of the floods. With roads turning into rivers, relief and rescue teams went out in boats to evacuate people.
A terrorist captured from Jammu and Kashmir's Rajouri has revealed that he was part of a group that was tasked with carrying out a suicide mission in India. Tabarak Hussain has claimed that he and 4 to 5 other terrorists were sent by a Colonel Yusuf of the Pakistan Army. He was given 30,000 rupees to target Indian Army posts and he had in fact even recce'd some of them.
कितने पेज है कितने सी कौन
चौधरी यूनुस में
चौधरी यूनुस कौन है
आर्मी में
आर्मी के पाकिस्तान की उन्हें की क्या के भेजे तुम कि जाके पोस्ट दो की करो हमला करो बोले किदे होते हमला करना किदे होते हमला करना चाहिए पोस्ट होते
Well, China is keeping up the pressure on Taiwan. Right now, it's conducting night drills very close to the island.
The Eastern Theater Command of the Chinese People's Liberation Army deployed several warplanes to carry out night flying drills. The Chinese warplanes were seen taking off, its orange trailing flame blazing through.
Thanks a lot for staying with us. A big update coming in as far as what's playing out in Hyderabad. Suspended BJP MLA Raja Singh has now been booked under the Preventive Detention Act. As we pointed out, he had been picked up by officials a short while ago. He did get bail a couple of days ago, but now was picked up once again. And now we're understanding he's been booked under the Preventive Detention Act. All of this in the backdrop of the comments that had been made by now suspended BJP MLA Raja Singh against Prophet Muhammad. Swastika Das is breaking all those details for us. There is a note that has been released by police officials, which is out on your screens as well. Swastika, first, we're now understanding Raja Singh has been booked under Preventive Detention Act. Do we understand where he will be taken eventually?
Well, Ridhima, exclusive information accessed via CNN News 18. Raja Singh has been booked under the Preventive Detention Act over the Prophet Muhammad video. It's very clear, and the police is not taking any risk because tomorrow is Friday, there is Jummeh Namaz, and even a few days later there is Ganesh Chaturthi. So in the wake of the protests that have been happening in Hyderabad, a Preventive Detention Act has been imposed on Raja Singh, which is a very big development that we are breaking here on CNN News 18. We are learning via our sources that after his medical examination at Gandhi Hospital, which just took place a short while ago, he is now being taken to Cherlapalli jail, which is about 25 kilometers in the outskirts of Hyderabad. And in fact, the details that we are picking up and breaking here on our channel is that PD Act invoked against Raja Singh, who is Gosha Mahal MLA. The proposed detainee Raja Singh had posted an offensive video on the 22nd of August on a particular YouTube channel by the name Shri Ram channel and used very blasphemous comments against the Prophet and his lifestyle. And as a result, since the video went viral, it had triggered massive protests in the city of Hyderabad. And in the wake of the present situation, which is volatile, and the blasphemous utterances according to the official press note that we have exclusively accessed, Raja Singh has been continuously creating hatred, and that's the reason why he has been detained by the Hyderabad police under the PD Act. We are also learning via our sources that he's going to be in police remand, which means that the police is going to go a step forward and refile and correct its petition in the first place, which was rejected. The police remember wants to take Raja Singh into custody and send him to judicial custody, but that entire proposition was first rejected because section 41A of the CRPC was not duly followed. And now we are understanding, we are learning via police sources that even a correctional process has been done, in the sense that the same petition has been reworked upon by the legal team of the Hyderabad police, and this is being led by the West Zone area under the Hyderabad Police Commissionerate to ensure that the judicial remand of Raja Singh is also duly followed. But for now, the first development and the breaking development right now is that Raja Singh has been booked under the Preventive Detention Act and is being taken to Cherlapalli jail even as we speak, Ridhima.
Okay, so the big update that Swastika is breaking for us is that Raja Singh has been booked under the Preventive Detention Act and he is now being taken to the Cherlapalli jail. What will follow from here on, Swastika? What has led to this action once again by police forces? Swastika, can you hear me? Okay, we'll try and re-establish that connection with my colleague Swastika Das, who is getting us all this exclusive information that suspended BJP MLA Raja Singh now has been booked under the Preventive Detention Act, and as she is also pointing out, he is being taken to the Cherlapalli jail. There will be medical that will be done before this as well. Swastika, if you can hear me this time around, as you're pointing out, he is going to be taken away to the Cherlapalli jail. What follows before that? Are the medicals already done?
Well, yes, Ridhima, his medical examination was done a short while ago at the Gandhi Hospital. This is a state-run hospital just a few minutes ago, and we are now trying to follow his convoy, which is on its way to the Cherlapalli jail here in Hyderabad. It's Cherlapalli Central Prison. But going by the records that we have picked up from our police sources, it says that out of the total 101 criminal cases registered against Raja Singh since 2004, he was involved in 18 communal offences in different police stations of Hyderabad, and apart from several other cases that have been filed recently. So in simple layman terms, what the police has done right now, it has clubbed together all of these cases. And remember, earlier today Raja Singh had also issued a video, or he released a video in the public domain, his first video after being granted bail by the Nampally court in the first edition of this entire case. He's saying that a conspiracy has been hatched by the Telangana Police Department by issuing 241A CRPC notice from different police stations, including one from Mangalhat Police Station. Mangalhat Police Station is in the West Zone Commissionerate, and he says that these cases for which he has been booked are dated 12/04/2022 April, and one case was registered in the month of February. He's saying for these two particular cases, again, both of these cases related to his hate speech. He says that he was issued a notice on the 24th, but he physically received the notice only today. And he's saying, and he has gone on to allege, that all of this is the political vendetta launched by the Telangana government in association with the MIM party led by Asaduddin Owaisi to arrest him. And the allegations that has now been put forth by him has in a way been confirmed through the official press note that we have received exclusively, which says that 101 cases have been registered against Raja Singh since 2004. All of these open cases, they're still running into different legal discourse, and he says that the official note says that he's involved in 18 communal offences, and the latest set of derogatory video that he put out is also to be added to this tally. So overall, to break it down into simple terms, Raja Singh has now been booked under the PD Act, I beg your pardon, and he's being taken to the Cherlapalli Central Prison as we speak.
Okay, Swastika, thanks a lot for getting us those details. We'll request you to stay on with us. Let's take in some political reactions as well. Asim Wakar of the AIMM also now joining us on the broadcast. Good to have you on the broadcast with us. Your first reaction to the developments that have just played out. You've got Raja Singh once again being booked, and this time under the Preventive Detention Act.
नहीं मैडम, थोड़ा सा राजा सिंह के बारे में रिसर्च कर लीजिए कि हुज दिस, ये क्या है, क्या करता था। देखिए, राजा सिंह ने जब 2008 में विधानसभा चुनाव के लिए पर्चा भरा तो उसने अपने पर्चे में खुद डिक्लेयर किया कि उसके ऊपर 43 मुकदमे हैं, जिनमें से 17 या 16 मुकदमे धार्मिक भावनाएं भड़काने के, दंगा फैलाने, आगजनी करने के। 43 कब? 2008 में। क्या चल रहा है? 2022। इसमें से 17 मुकदमों में आपके चार्जशीट दाखिल हो चुकी है। शरीफ आदमी नहीं है वो। उसकी वजह से न जाने कितनी बार दंगे हुए हैं, न जाने उसने कितने लोगों को बेघर किया होगा। आगे मतलब उसने कई बार ऐसे बयान दिए हैं, उस पर मुकदमे हैं कि वो उसने लोगों से कहा कि हिंदू धर्म की रक्षा के लिए तलवार पकड़ के सड़क पे निकल आओ। अब ये बताइए, आपके हिसाब से मैं पूछ रहा हूँ कि अगर
नहीं,
आप
अब मेरे हिसाब से क्यों पूछ रहे हैं? मैं तो बोल ही रही हूँ कि जो हो रहा है बिल्कुल सही हो रहा है। अगर कोई भी अपने हाथ में लॉ को ले रहा है तो उसके अगेंस्ट एक्शन होना चाहिए। पर अगर यही यार्डस्टिक हम सबके लिए फॉलो कर रहे हैं तो सही है। सवाल ये खड़ा हो रहा है कि ये यार्डस्टिक सिर्फ बीजेपी के लोगों के लिए खड़ी क्यों हो रही है, और एमआईएम के कॉर्पोरेटर्स जिन्होंने काफी कॉल्स करी हैं बिहेडिंग के लिए पब्लिकली, उन पे कोई एक्शन क्यों नहीं हो रहा है?
नहीं मैडम, देखिए, हमारे राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष जी ने जिस दिन ये मामला आया उन्होंने कहा नहीं, हम इसका निंदा करते हैं, नहीं होना चाहिए। देखिए, संविधान ने हमें जो अधिकार दिया है वो दिया है, हम प्रदर्शन कर सकते हैं, हम एजिटेशन कर सकते हैं संवैधानिक दायरे में। उस संवैधानिक जो प्रदर्शन है उसमें असंवैधानिक, इलीगल किसी तरह का कोई स्लोगन, नारा नहीं लग सकता। हम निंदा करते हैं इस बात की, नहीं होना चाहिए, बिल्कुल नहीं होना चाहिए। हम कब कह रहे हैं कि होना चाहिए?
नहीं तो सिर्फ निंदा क्या काफी है? क्या कोई एक्शन आप लेंगे?
मैं आपसे कह रहा हूँ, आपने राजा सिंह की जो आज मैंने बताया अभी आपको कि 43 मुकदमे 2008 में उसके ऊपर थे, जिसमें से आगजनी, भड़काना, दंगा, फसाद, मतलब वो ये कह रहा है कि तलवार लो, सड़क पे निकल आओ। आपने दिखाया टीवी पे आपने।
सर, अगर आप पूरा शो देखें, सर आप हर बार आते हैं, आप काउंटर क्वेश्चन करना चाहते हैं, आप गोल पोस्ट बदलना चाहते हैं, आंसर नहीं देना चाहते हैं। अगर आप शो शुरुआत से देखते तो हमने शुरुआत में ही बोला है कि राजा सिंह के ऊपर ये कोई पहला केस नहीं है, उनके पास पहले भी केसेस हो चुके हैं। और हम तो ये सवाल भी खड़ा कर रहे हैं कि बीजेपी की तरफ से सस्पेंशन नहीं, एक्सपेल कर देना चाहिए। पर मैं पूछ रही हूँ, अगर हम बीजेपी से ये सवाल पूछ रहे हैं तो आपसे भी ये सवाल पूछा जा रहा है कि आप अपने कॉर्पोरेटर पे कोई एक्शन क्यों नहीं ले रहे हैं? एक सिंपल सा सवाल है ये। निंदा तो आपने कर दी है, पर क्या कोई एक्शन होगा?
मैडम, जिस आदमी पे 2008 में 43 मुकदमे थे, दंगा भड़काने के, आग लगाने के, दूसरे धर्मों को बुरा कहने के, गाली बकने के, उसको बीजेपी टिकट दे रही है और जिता रही है और असेंबली में अपना फ्लोर लीडर बना रही है। वो आप बता रहे हैं कि बीजेपी कर रही कार्रवाई। कहाँ कर रही कार्रवाई?
सर, ये तो बहुत कन्वीनियंट हो गया ना।
मैं देखना चाहता हूँ।
बहुत कन्वीनियंट हो गया। मैं तो बोल ही रही हूँ कि बीजेपी से सवाल किए जा रहे हैं, या तो आप समझ नहीं रहे हैं या आप मुझे क्लियर आंसर अपने पार्टी का नहीं देना चाहते हैं। पर आप 30 सेकंड रुकिए, बने रहिए हमारे साथ। वी ऑल्सो हैव बच्चू श्रीनिवास ऑफ द TRS now joining us on the broadcast. Your first reaction to what has played out? You've got Raja Singh once again being booked as far as the police is concerned, and this time under the Preventive Detention Act.
Hello.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
I was asking your first response to what is played out once again. You've got suspended BJP MLA Raja Singh being booked once again.
Definitely, see, it is going to take action by the police people, and the government will take its own action. Law will take its own action. If he'll do any kind of provoking, controversial statements, definitely he'll be taken into the custody. That is what exactly is happening in Hyderabad.
A lot of questions, sir, at this point are also being raised as far as the role of the state government is concerned. Only yesterday, we saw this, officials on the ground actually take a stern stand vis-a-vis the protesters. A lot of questions being raised as to how these protesters even got bail so early.
Even for your kind consideration, the protesters from any party, that may be any religion, I hope already you have received information about Hyderabad. All the protestants from all the regions have already taken into the custody. This is for your kind consideration from the CNN news to everyone. Today, the nation is looking about Hyderabad. Are you getting me?
Okay. No,
for all your questions, whatever the questions are raising about Hyderabad, we are telling you on behalf of the government and the police of Hyderabad, we arrested from all the communities, all the religions. There is no caste.
I didn't even ask a community question, sir. I don't think you heard me right. I never asked a community question. I just asked, what about the protesters? What took the delay as far as acting on those protesters? I didn't even mention anything about community.
The protesters. I'm telling about the protesters only. The protesters are in the custody only. We never encourage, we never allow any kind of violation in Hyderabad. We take care of the safety of Hyderabad.
Okay, I'll just request you to stay on with us. Let me take in a reaction from the Congress also. Nasir Hussain of the Congress now joining us. Sir, your first reaction to what is played out. Raja Singh has been booked once again under the Preventive Detention Act this time.
Mr. Raja Singh has been an habitual offender. This is not the first time that he has tried to offend any community. This is not the first time that he has tried to disturb peace and calm in the city of Hyderabad and Telangana. I think people like Raja Singh and anybody for that matter, whoever he or she is, from whichever party he or she is, or whichever ideology they belong to, they cannot take law into their hands. They cannot make provocative statements. They cannot divide the country by provoking people from both the sides. See, this is what has been happening. If the law and order is strict, if the law and order takes its due course, I don't think these kind of elements can survive. I am totally with the law enforcing agencies. Anybody who obstructs law, anybody who deliberately provokes people, anybody who deliberately tries to divide people, whichever community he or she is, should be booked and killing law and condition.
Sir, I'm glad that you're saying that it should be across political parties, but what we're actually seeing play out on the ground is slightly different. While we're all condemning what has been said or done by Raja Singh now or even in the past, we've also accessed an audio clip where there is a conversation between Aswaddin Owaisi and one of the protesters, where the conversation is that Aswaddin Owaisi is telling the protester, it's late in the night, you should go home then. There is also a video of an MIM corporator making these beheading chants and calls in public, but still no action has been taken.
I made it very categorical when I said that anybody from any community, from any people subscribing to any ideology, any political party, should be taken to task if they are disturbing peace, law and order in any state, whoever it is. So if there are FIRs, if there are complaints against people from MIM, against people from other political parties also, I think they should be taken to task because what is more important is you cannot deny anybody the right to protest. But at the same time, you should also be careful that people, those are going overboard, making provocative statements. When I say provocative statements, from all hue and cry, from everyone, from every community, from every party, they should be taken to task by the state government.
Okay. This is a developing story, multiple developments taking place. Unfortunately, I'll have to leave the conversation there. Aseem Wakar, Bachu Srinivas and Nasir Hussain, appreciate you joining us here. Would like to thank my colleague Swastika for getting us all those details as well. We're slipping into a very short break. We're coming back with lots more.
Homes as a result of the floods. With roads turning into rivers, relief and rescue teams went out in boats to evacuate people.
A terrorist captured from Jammu and Kashmir's Rajouri has revealed that he was part of a group that was tasked with carrying out a suicide mission in India. Tabarak Hussain has claimed that he and 4 to 5 other terrorists were sent by a Colonel Yusuf of the Pakistan Army. He was given 30,000 rupees to target Indian Army posts and he had in fact even recce'd some of them.
कितने पीजे कितने सी काम
चौधरी यूनुस में
चौधरी यूनुस कौन है
आर्मी में
आर्मी से पाकिस्तान की उन्हें की क्या के भेजे तुम कि जाके पोस्ट देते की करो हमला करो बोले किदे होते हमला करना किदे होते हमला करना चाहिए पोस्ट होते
Well, China is keeping up the pressure on Taiwan. Right now, it's conducting night drills very close to the island.
The Eastern Theatre Command of the Chinese People's Liberation Army deployed several warplanes to carry out night flying drills. The Chinese warplanes were seen taking off, its orange trailing flame blazing through the night sky. It was followed by multiple warplanes of the Eastern Theatre Command. Since August, the PLA's Eastern Theatre Command has rolled out a series of joint military operations around the Taiwan island. The drills are a response to 3 recent high-profile visits from the US to the Taiwan. From the US to the island nation, including House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. The PLA has launched ballistic missiles into the water around Taiwan. Several Chinese warships have been seen in the Taiwan Strait, and PLA warplanes have breached the median line.
The Taiwan Army is in fact keeping a close watch along its shores from the northernmost tip. That's the Kinmen Island. The island is barely 180 kilometers away from mainland China. In fact, Chinese merchant vessels that are anchored off the island. These vessels are being manned by the Chinese Navy personnel. In fact, Chinese drones flew into the Kinmen area very recently. The Taiwan Army has also fired flares to drive these drones away. My colleague Siddhant Mishra is the only Indian reporter in Taiwan right now. He spoke to the island's foreign minister, Joseph Wu.
What is the motive of China behind doing all this?
And the way I say this is that China has a global ambition. And this is the most important motivation for China to continue to expand. Look at the military exercises around Taiwan. It's a large scale, very large scale.
Welcome back. Thanks a lot for staying with us. There's major trouble for the Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren. The Election Commission has recommended that he be disqualified in a report that was sent to the Jharkhand governor. Now, this is in connection with the Jharkhand mining scam. Reacting on the EC recommendation, Hemant Soren has raised questions on the credibility of the country's top election body and said the agency is being run from BJP headquarters. Meanwhile, all eyes on Jharkhand governor as he is expected to notify the order soon. We'll try and get more details of what really follows from here on. What will this disqualification mean for Hemant Soren? But as of now, it's not looking good because what we are understanding is that the Election Commission, in fact, has recommended that he be disqualified. Remember, the numbers still in favor as far as the state government is concerned, but a lot of questions remaining. What this disqualification will mean, what are the legal options, and what will we see in the days to come. My colleague Saurabh Rathore now joining us with more details. Saurabh, all of this was done in a sealed envelope that was sent to the Election Commission. Any more details that you're picking up as far as the disqualification of Hemant Soren is concerned?
Yeah, so far as the government, no official statement has come from Governor House, but there has been activities in Ranchi. We learned that Hemant Soren had called his ministers and other MLAs at his residence for a meeting for this political development. Now, after the meeting, a PC has been started by JMM leaders, and now they are saying that no such statements have come from Governor's House about this disqualification. But our sources are saying that the Election Commission has recommended the disqualification of Hemant Soren. So now the possibility, what can be the possibility of if he is disqualified by Election Commission and the statement comes, if Hemant Soren is disqualified, that there arises two condition arises. One, if he's disqualified and if he's eligible to contest again, then within 6 months he has to contest election and again prove his membership. Now, if he is disqualified and debarred, then he has to nominate someone from his party, whether his family or from his family or party for the CM post. So, if we talk about the front runners, then there are several names which can be seen in the front runners list, such as Shibu Soren, who is his father. But because Lokpal case is being heard today and his health is also not well, so the probability of Shibu Soren becomes less. Now, the most probable candidate is Kalpana Soren, his wife. She although she has not contested the election from anywhere, but the name in the front runner.
So certain front runner names also now coming to light. A lot of legal discussions also taking place. This is a big story that we'll keep tracking here. Unfortunately, I will have to leave the conversation there. Saurabh, thanks a lot for getting us those details. It's a wrap from my side. Thanks a lot for watching.
Many people who called the shivling at Gyamrapi fountain a stone, what is the big deal, and there were very many derogatory remarks made, but how many Hindus came out and said Sartan se juda?
You're seriously accepting that? That you can touch the lives and better the lives of your people in the state only through a color television, otherwise you can't better their lives?
आपकी पार्टी के कॉर्पोरेटर है जफर खान जो लोगों को भड़का रहा है ऐसे नारे लगाने के लिए कि सर तन से जुदा। 24 घंटे हो गए, आपने क्या कुछ शो कॉज नोटिस भेजा उसको? आपने उसको सस्पेंड किया?
The Aam Aadmi Party has not really answered specific question on policy failure. The entire narrative is about everything but the policy.
Tabarak Hussain has claimed that he and 4 to 5 other terrorists were sent by a Colonel Yusuf of the Pakistan Army. He was given 30,000 rupees to target Indian Army posts and he had in fact even recce'd some of them.
कितने पेजे कितने सी कौन?
चौधरी यूनुस में।
चौधरी यूनुस कौन है?
आर्मी में।
आर्मी से पाकिस्तान की उन्हें की क्या के पेजे तुम कि जाके पोस्ट देते की करो?
हमला करो।
हमला करो बोले किधर होते हमला करना किधर होते हमला करना चाहिए पोस्ट होते
Well, China is keeping up the pressure on Taiwan. Right now it's conducting night drills very close to the island.
The Eastern Theater Command of the Chinese People's Liberation Army deployed several warplanes to carry out night flying drills. The Chinese warplanes were seen taking off, its orange trailing flame blazing through the night sky. It was followed by multiple warplanes of the Eastern Theater Command. Since August, the PLA's Eastern Theater Command has rolled out a series of joint military operations around the Taiwan island. The drills are a response to 3 recent high-profile visits from the US to the Taiwan. From the US to the island nation, including House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. The PLA has launched ballistic missiles into the water around Taiwan. Several Chinese warships have been seen in the Taiwan Strait, and PLA warplanes have breached the median line.
The Taiwan Army is in fact keeping a close watch along its shores from the northernmost tip. That's the Kinmen Island. The island is barely 180 kilometers away from mainland China. In fact, Chinese merchant vessels that are anchored off the island. These vessels are being manned by the Chinese Navy personnel. In fact, Chinese drones flew into the Kinmen area very recently. The Taiwan Army has also fired flares to drive these drones away. My colleague Siddhant Mishra is the only Indian reporter in Taiwan right now. He spoke to the island's foreign minister, Joseph Wu.
What is the motive of China behind doing all this?
And the way I say this is that China has a global ambition. And this is the most important motivation for China to continue to expand. Look at the military exercises around Taiwan. It's a large scale, very large scale. Other than the sea and air exercises around Taiwan, they also fired missiles over Taiwan. And they also conducted the cyber attacks.
Several parts of Rajasthan are badly underwater because of heavy rains, and Udaipur happens to be one of the worst hit places.
This house could not withstand the fast-flowing flood waters. It was literally floating in the flood waters like a boat. Due to incessant rains, many rivers in Rajasthan are in spate. The river water has flown into towns and left them completely inundated. Several people have been trapped in their homes as a result of the floods. With roads turning into rivers, relief and rescue teams went out in boats to evacuate people.
A terrorist captured from Jammu and Kashmir's Rajouri has revealed that he was part of a group that was tasked with carrying out a suicide mission in India. Tabarak Hussain has claimed that he and 4 to 5 other terrorists were sent by a Colonel Yusuf of the Pakistan Army. He was given 30,000 rupees to target Indian Army posts, and he had in fact even recce'd some of them.
कितने पेज है कितने सी काम
चौधरी यूनुस में
चौधरी यूनुस कौन है
आर्मी में
आर्मी के पाकिस्तान
Namaste, and you are on the Nation at 5, coming to you live from the CNN News 18 newsroom. Ladies and gentlemen, if there were infiltrators and terrorists who were caught in a landmine blast, and last evening we put out the confession of a terrorist who said that a Pak army personnel paid them money, here is more. CNN News 18 has been able to access details that will shock you, ladies and gentlemen. These details only show the extent of the treachery by the enemy on the other side, who's using this entire ceasefire to mobilize huge resources along the line of control and the international border. What CNN News 18 has been able to access, with inputs from our investigations editor Manoj Gupta, is that there are nearly 25 to 30 terror launch pads right along the line of actual control and the border. And there are at least 20 terror camps that are brimming with terrorists waiting to infiltrate and cause absolute mayhem on Indian soil. Pakistan has placed launch pads at multiple entry points. Every terror launch pad is just 2 to 3 kilometers from the line of control. Pakistan planning to increase the frequency of infiltration, and all jihadi outfits, all the terror outfits are working together. They are pooling in resources. We have told you this in the past. On the 26th of July, we put out the details, and thereafter we've been continuously updating you. But the Lashkar, Hizbul, Jaish, Al-Badr have all combined ranks, and they are working together at these launch pads. 300 small weapons have been transported into India via drone drops already. Nearly 300, if not more, small arms and weapons have been transported via drone drops into Indian soil towards inside Jammu and Kashmir. There are weapon caches that are established in and around Srinagar. Nearly 50 foreign terrorists are embedded already in Srinagar itself. This should set the alarm bells ringing that yes, every day our forces are neutralizing many terrorists, but there are many more who are already hidden within, and there are hundreds who are waiting to infiltrate. 50 foreign terrorists are already based in the main town of Srinagar, and they are waiting orders from their park handlers. They're also getting support via OGW. So 300 small arm and weapons to push this hybrid terror module, 50 foreign terrorists on Indian soil near Srinagar main town, but more importantly, the terror launch pads which have all been moved closer to the line of control. Now here is more, ladies and gentlemen. We show you the exact locations. The locations of the terror map, terror launch pads, and also the terror camps. We have marked out both along the line of control and the international border, and you will be shocked to see the locations. The red dots, and this is the actual map that we have been able to access, and we have recreated what our inputs have been, our investigations editor Manoj Gupta has shared. Now let me just tell you, the red dots are all the terror camps. Where are they? In the Swat region, in Naran, Mardan, Abbottabad, and all these regions. The yellow ones are the launch pads, and look how close. This is the India-Pakistan border, and then of course the LOC comes in here. So this is the LOC and the India-Pak main international border, and all around that, around the border and also the LOC, you have terror launch pads which have mushroomed, and nearly 30. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and one more 27. Now these are the launch pads. Abdul bin Masood, Shalibanda, Manastaya, Deolian, Garhi Dupatta, Safaida, Halan Shumali, Bagh, Alibad, Forward Kahuta, Rawalakot, Dungi, Hajira, Sensa, Kotli, Palani, Nikial, Kund, Samani, Kot Kotera, and Khurietani. So these are the launch pads, and the terror camps are Khalid bin Walid, Gari Habibullah, Umar bin Khattab, Atar Shisha, Abbottabad, Terbela, Naushera, Kahuta, Jhelum, and of course the Zafar Iqbal Baiwa. Naushera, and this is the sector where the infiltrators were stepped onto a landmine, were some of them blown away, one of them saved, and he is the one who confessed that it's a Pak army colonel who paid him 30,000 rupees to go and kill and also die. That's what he had said. And that's the confession that came in yesterday. But look at the proximity, and they are all waiting. They are waiting to cross over, and nearly 50 foreign terrorists are already in Srinagar. More than 300 weapons have been dropped via drone into Jammu and Kashmir already. These are the inputs that we are sharing with you. Absolutely shocking details, jaw-dropping details that we've been able to access. I'm going to go across to our guest, Major General K.K. Sinha, defense expert who served in Jammu and Kashmir, and he knows these regions very well. And we also have Rajinder Kumar, former Special Director of the Intelligence Bureau, also joining us at this point. General K.K. Sinha, we've discussed these terror bases, camps and infiltrators, but this is nearly 30 launch pads. 30 launch pads along the LOC and closer to the IB.
Narshaman, good afternoon. What you are revealing and what your your editor he has got the details. These are fairly very accurate information which you have got, and I believe that intelligence agencies have got. What you have explained. I will just try to give it in a nutshell, the summary. If you will take it to LOC, which is 740 odd kilometers, and you start from Gurej, then you come down to Sundarbani in between. You know the names because I am taking the names of our side, whether it is the Neelam Valley, Khel, Tangdhar, Chakoti, Gulmarg, which we know, Punch, Rajouri, Nosera, and Sundarbani. If you take this area of 740 kilometers, when you have given the terror camps, basically these people have come. Nangarhar area which in Afghanistan, they had the 3 camps, and the money was coming from China for these 3 camps, and it had both LAT, JEM, Al-Badr, HUM, that is Harkat-e-Mujahideen, and HM also joined a later stage. These camps also had that TPP, Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan group, people over there. They came to Peshawar. Peshawar has got what you are saying, Manesar area. Then in that area, the 3 camps, and then basically the 2 basic camps of Muzaffarabad and down Khel. Khel is being controlled by three POK brigade, the famous POK brigade, which is they have got a lot of expertise for infiltration. Now, when this is happening and the proof is there, even today the three have been killed. So we have got zero infiltration policy and the grid which we have established. But what is surprising, what you are giving that 50 is already sitting and probably they are from LET and JEM. If LET and JEM, and basically what is happening, the two things, the Pakistan restructure, there is ISHP, Islamic State of Walian Hind. It is a different model altogether. So they have been given the complete thing in the Pakistan, and what is happening in the TRF, the Total Resistance Front, and KFF, which is happening in the area of Srinagar. And what you say that 300 odd weapons have already been dropped by your drones, and these are with these 50 odd terrorists, which is sitting with along with the OGW. So it is going to be a very challenging time, and I think we have to become very proactive. These informations are fine if we are sitting on it. If we try to catch these people, it will be a very different altogether. Because this time, it is not only, they have got suicide bombers. And this is a definite news because ISI along with the Haqqani network, they have organized this. So they have got suicide bombers. And if you remember, day before yesterday, in Russia, one terrorist who has been, somewhere recruited into the area of Central Asian Republic, and he was being infiltrated through, Russian route. So these are, these things, if you put the dots together, it's a very challenging time.
No, not just challenging, General K.K. Sinha. What we are actually seeing at this point in time is a very, very devious plot. 50 foreign terrorists sitting in Srinagar town, Rajinder Kumarji, and there are at least 300 such caches and weapons which have already been dropped by drones. The other day we got inputs that one of the drones that's been shot down had made 76 sorties. 76 sorties one drone itself had made. This is a huge challenge for us.
Anandji, see, the thing is that this is as far as infiltration in Kashmir is concerned, it is a pet project of the ISI. As long as ISI is there and Pakistan Army is there, this thing would continue. So if we should not be under any illusion that the political circumstances or any other thing would change this thing, this will continue. Now let me tell you two things. See, the main supply line comes from the area of Lahore, Jhelum, and some other districts of Punjab. From there, they are brought to Muzaffarabad and Sialkot and kept in the camps. From there, they are again taken to the border, madrasas located near the border. And from there, and these are all escorted up to this place by ISI officers. Then ISI officers hands over them to the local posts, which are there on the LOC of the Pakistan Army. From there, they wait for the appropriate time, like rains and dew and other things, when they try to infiltrate these people. So if there are 50, I am not surprised. If there are 300 sitting there, I am not surprised. Let me also tell you one thing. A lot of people say that they are coming from Afghanistan or this and that camp. See, it is a Pakistani thing to divert this information that Afghanistan they have come from the Afghanistan and this camp is there. Their camps are all in Pakistan. All camps are in occupied Kashmir and Punjab.
Most of the recruits are from South Punjab region of Pakistan.
Yeah, they are just creating an alibi for themselves by saying that in Afghanistan or anything. Why they should come to Afghanistan and Pakistan is one thing. Why they should travel so far? And in Afghanistan, let me tell you, Pakistani never trust Afghanis. However, I give you one thing, even a most Qatar Talibani would not be, even Haqqani would not be trusted by Pakistani. ISI fellow.
Right.
So all these fellows are there. This is a continuous operation. Even ISII has issued permits to Salahuddin and company to carry weapons, to move around wherever unhindered. Everything, he always carries those letters, and I believe there are some documents, there is actual documents available somewhere of Pakistan ISI directing everybody to help them and not to be searched.
Yes, there is not just communication, Rajinder Kumarji. We put it out here also that the instructions now is to pool resources. It's not individual jihadi outfits. They've all got to come together and they've got to work on it together. Is what and pool resources, and that's why we are given to understand. And on 26th of July, we had put out the story that in one of the camps, Tala Saeed was there of the Lashkar. Other camp, you had Asghar. Of the Jaish, and in the third camp you had the Al-Badr guy, and he was present there. So all of these people are actually pooling in resources, and most of these terror camps are also not far away from what General K.K. Sinha mentioned as the 3POK brigade. Now, I'm just going to call for that map again, and General K.K. Sinha, what should be India's counter? Because this is a case where ceasefire, if you can call the map here on the screen, if in the case of a ceasefire, the Pakistanis are only becoming far more robust in terms of the number of terror camps. This Gadi Habibullah, near that, not far away from Gadi Habibullah, is where one of the other, the Pak Brigade and army camps are. Abbottabad and Nowshera also you have Pak army camps. So the military is present. The drone is coming in somewhere in between where the jihadi camps and the Pak Army Brigade is there, and from there the drone is being sent. So somewhere there is active Pakistani army help. If we go by the confessions of this terrorist Tabarak Hussain yesterday, he says that it was a Colonel Yunus Chaudhry who gave me 30,000 rupees to go and kill and die. So how do we negate this? Do we then break ceasefire? Do we do a counter-attack and negate all these threats here on these terror camps? Or do we continue to wait for them to enter Indian territory and then kill them?
Narasimhan, I'm always of the view that you have to be proactive in your operations. If you have a defensive mindset and you will allow these people to come, they have been doing from ages. We have twice we have gone proactive. In one case, Balakot, and one was that, after the Uri, we carried out the, strike, the surgical strike. See, the point is not like that you do it and it will get over. The point is coming like this. It is a total change game. In the Mission Kashmir, in a new form, they have dumped the K2 plan for the time being. They are going for Mission Kashmir. We have to understand, we can't say that these people are just coming from Bhavalnagar, Bhavatpur. We all know that is the catchment area of recruit. But these are hardcore terrorists, believe it or not. They are the suicide bombers. The things are not only just coming. If Russia can give you the input that these people are coming from the Central Asian Republic, which never happened, and they were just getting, sneaked in India, and they have given the information, they nabbed it. Mind you, when you are giving information that 50 years, this is a hybrid. It is a target killing. Yes. It is not that, those things, days have gone where they were trying to hit, in a different way. It is a target killing. It is the OGW. OGW has not been, 9,000 odd OGWs, which was identified out of the 12,000. Most of them are sitting, ideal over there. And, whether you call it a sleeper cell, see, we can't negate. We have to go proactive. Pakistan army, a lot of these pressures are coming.
But here is the
ceasefire.
Correct. Because on the one hand, the jihadis are after the Pakistanis to try and activate there so that they can push more infiltrators under the cover fire of the Pakistani army. On the other hand, the counter narrative is if India was to go and take some punitive proactive measure, it gives the Pak army, which is perhaps politically facing a lot of flack, and Imran Khan is doing the job of trying to weaken the establishment and the perception of the establishment. We play into the Pak army's hand, which suddenly then tends to flex muscle to say, because that's the only narrative that they have, that's the Kashmir narrative. And then they try to spread themselves and become stronger again, Rajinderji. So what are you doing? How do we counter this? Plus, how do we decide and how do we identify these 15 foreign terrorists who are in Srinagar main town already? That's the input. That's far more worrying, and there are at least 300 weapons for them to try this hybrid warfare. That is shoot and scoot with short arms.
See, the agencies has the means to identify where they are sitting, how and what they will be doing. Agencies take their own time to act on these inputs because ultimately the purpose is to neutralize them. And it is not that the premature thing is started and they run away and they know now then they know that where is their lacuna. So at every appropriate time, the agencies would take action. The security forces would take action, whether it is this local police or the BSF or the army, the CRP, whosoever are in charge of that area, they will take action. So quite a few of many of them are already identified with the agencies, and operational plans are always underway. That's why you must have seen that they may succeed to carry out some actions, but at the same time, within few months, within a period of month or two, everybody is neutralized who was involved with any operation terrorist action. Kashmir, there is a very good intelligence system. I must appreciate all the security forces. They have a very good intelligence system, and there is a lot of coordination among themselves. So there is a thing. But yes, the question is how to handle Pakistan. That is a big thing. And today, Pakistan, the problem with Pakistan is Pakistan, the only America is no longer interested in Pakistan. And China is a good friend of Pakistan. China would not do anything. In fact, China is helping them. Like Jaish-e-Mohammed was, China prevented Jaish-e-Mohammed being declared a terrorist organization by the UN.
Right.
So China is there. And I would say that we have to, if put pressure on China, we have to somebody somewhere not have to launch covert operation.
Sir, we have to do all of that there, but this is clear and present requirement and danger at this point in time, which is waiting, which is lurking. And when if any of them gets in, they're going to strike. I'm just going to quickly recap as I thank Rajinder Kumarji and General K.K. Sinha, Major General K.K. Sinha for joining us here on this exclusive news break. Our investigations editor Manoj Gupta getting us this entire map. These red dots are the terror camps which are active, brimming with jihadis. These are the launch pads less than 2 to 3 kilometers from the international border and also the line of control, ladies and gentlemen. So the international border extends outside, but the line of control cuts in and comes closer in here.